Part 3 is the treatment. What can we do about muscle guarding? So with regards to muscle guarding, we know the body's perceiving that there's a problem. So what we need to do is overcome that perception. So essentially we need to train the body to understand there's not a problem there. This is all unconscious information going in. So what we have to do is consciously train our body. And then what will start to happen over time, and again, this isn't going to take one stretch, one workout, 1 week, possibly 1 month. It's going to take a period of time to get yourself through it, because you've got to build the habits, number one, and then you've got to keep repeating it and keep putting coins, or taking coins out of the Lordosis account and put it into the proper spine mechanics account, if you will. So with regards to that, as I've mentioned, you just can't stretch your way out of it. That's not really a strategy that's going to be of great use, because as we've described, when the body perceives a problem, now what I will say is the initial stretching will create an improvement. But because the body perceives there's a problem, when you stretch, you make, and if we go back to the instability thing, so if we say it's a stability problem, when we stretch, we create instability because we're relaxing a muscle. So if the body then still perceives unconsciously that there's a problem in the spine, it's going to pull it back tight. So what you can say, and what has been shown in various areas of research, is that you get a window of time. And for want of a better way, about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, you get this window of a relaxed muscle. So what we've got to do is go about relaxing the muscles around the area, so around the hips and the spine. So all those hip flexors, we've got to go about relaxing them. What that then does, that gives us a window. So we can then stretch, and then we can go about sensibly activating the muscle, so we don't overload it and cause it to react and lock up tight again. So it's a little bit more of a sensible solution rather than strapping weights to your feet and lifting your knee, because what the body's going to do is just react to that, and it's going to lock everything back up, because it perceives a problem. We've just relaxed everything, and then the body's going to panic because there's a big weight on your foot and you're lifting up, and the psoas and the hip flexors are getting huge amounts of activation. So therefore, it's then going to just basically lock itself back up again. So what we need to be able to do is essentially what I sort of describe as 3 steps, is sort of some sort of massage, foam rolling, or a physical massage by a therapist. Or yourself, self-massage. So foam rolling, then stretching, and then adequate movement or activation of the muscle. And sort of, I guess you could say, another symptom of lordosis is what's called as a reciprocal inhibition. So if we get all the hip flexors that are locking up, we get all the hip extensors which are relaxing. So then that's the reciprocal inhibition, because it's reciprocal, opposite, inhibition, inhibiting. So it's essentially when you get tightness on one side of the body, you get relaxation on the other side of the body, and the muscles sort of work in a reciprocal way in that regard. So what we have to do, number one, is foam roll the front of the hip. Now you're not really going to foam roll psoas because it's too deep. It's very hard to foam roll iliacus because it's too deep. But we can roll rectus femoris, TFL, the adductors, the sartoria. So we can foam roll all of that and start the loosening process. When it comes to the psoas, you can get there. It's very invasive, but you've kind of got to go through the intestines and so on and so forth. So it's not something I would recommend. If you get a well-qualified therapist, then they're happy to do it. You're happy for them to do it. Then by all means, do it. But you can release the psoas, the iliacus. What we then need to go about doing is stretching those muscles. So getting into positions that stretch the hip flexors, stretch the psoas, stretch the iliacus, stretch the rectus femoris, the adductors, and the TFL. So stretch all of that. What we then can do is very simply
with regards to the movement part, because now what we've done is we've relaxed the muscles, we've given ourselves a window, we're stretching and lengthening so now the pelvis can start to move, the spine can move, and the hip can move. So what we then need to do is we need to flatten the lumbar curve. So we need to use our abdominals and our glutes to flatten the lumbar curve and neutralise the anterior pelvic tilt to the pelvis. If we can start to do that, we can then start working on the muscle activation of the glutes and the relaxation of the hip flexors. So we can start now initiating the glute muscles with a bridge, with a bird dog. We can start tuning and honing the position of the pelvis and the position of the spine with bird dog, bridge, plank, side plank, some kneeling exercises, some half kneeling exercises. Again, all these kind of exercises are in my How to Overcome Lordosis 12-week program. It follows this process. It does exactly this for these reasons. So we have to understand the mechanism of muscle guarding to be able to go about relaxing the right muscles, giving ourselves the window to be able to then stretch and lengthen the muscles, and then once we've created the movement within the joint, what we can then start doing is activating the right muscles, positioning the joints in where they're supposed to be, and then activating the muscles around it, and then moving, using exercise, using everyday movements to be able to repeat, reinforce, and enhance those positions. And it's this sort of neurological stimulus of putting it in the right position, but doing it in a way where it can go in. It's not in a stress response when it's doing it. And what this will then do, this will then go about putting the stability back into the spine. So the body then doesn't need to react and tighten everything up. So this is how we go about shifting those tokens from the lordosis account into the proper spine mechanics account. But we have to do it in this way because unconsciously the body's in a stress response and it's locking everything up. But whereas what we're doing, we're consciously unlocking that, but then putting in its place much more enhanced movement with proper muscle activation, with minimizing muscle activation as well, and not overloading it so it just reacts and tightens back up again. So there's a lot of reasons why to do this, because it's just, I would describe it as just a proper way of using your body, rather than strapping a weight to your foot and lifting your knee until the muscles get fatigued because your psoas isn't a bicep. You can train your biceps in that way and they'll get bigger, they'll get stronger. The psoas doesn't work like that. The psoas is a reflexive muscle. It's a stabilizing muscle which works on timing, not on sort of repetition and stress, if you will. There is a place for that, but it's not generally within lordosis. What we have to do first is foam roll, loosen everything off. Give ourselves a window, enhance that with a stretch, get the joints moving, get some length into the muscles. What we can then do is position them, activate them, and then what will start to happen is we'll start to then reinforce proper mechanics of the spine, proper mechanics of the hip, and proper movement mechanics, so that the body will remember that without the need to go back into the stress response of just tightening everything up. So hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it's given you a better idea of how to overcome and how to correct lordosis. Again, if you want to, click in the link below. You'll go through to my How to Correct Lordosis 12-week program, and there you kind of get this system over a 12-week period. That's not to say it's going to be corrected in 12 weeks, but how you correct it, you will get in 12 weeks. And then it's just a case of continuing that on over time. So many thanks for watching. Hopefully it's been helpful. If you have liked what you've seen, hit the like button. If you've got a comment or a question, leave it down in the comment section below. If you want to watch more videos like this, hit the subscribe and the bell icon, and you'll be notified when I release my next video. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris from the Chris Fold Training Podcast. I'll speak to you in the next episode.